Today's the day. What's up, you guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name's Mackenzie. If you're not new, thank you for coming back. So, if you're just stumbling across my channel, this is your first video. I'm a stained glass artist, and this is a type of stained glass grinder. So, finally, I've had this thing for a while. I've been waiting to crack into it so we can both test it out together while I'm on camera. This is the Taurus Ring Saw 3. I'm really excited, but I'm also really nervous for some reason. I guess because I'm just not well versed in this machine, so that makes me nervous. But today we're gonna make a maple leaf with a simple foil overlay. So we're just gonna do the basic cutout of a maple leaf on this thing, and then we'll do a foil overlay to finish the stems and all the veins inside of the leaf. So if that sounds like something you're into, let's get into it. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to go over a few things first. I want to take a look at what comes with your ring saw when you get it, what I ordered, and kind of the basic gist of how everything works. So, when you order your Taurus Ring Saw 3, it's going to come with obviously your ring saw. It comes with your standard blade. Comes with your instruction manual. So inside here is going to be all your basic info, all your parts, how to use them, how to take it apart when things need to be replaced, what pieces do need to be replaced over time, all that good stuff. So your instruction manual, and it comes with a DVD. So this DVD is my favorite. I was really excited to see this because, as you can tell by the title, it says the Taurus 3, everything you wanted to know but were afraid to ask, and then it has this like weird scientist looking guy down here. I got a kick out of this DVD. So it's one of those things that it's so bad, it's good. It's filled with dad jokes, all that fun stuff. So I would definitely suggest taking the time to watch all of this DVD. Might be annoying, but it's worth it. This is gonna tell you everything you need to know about this ring saw. Your do's and don'ts, what can break, what not to do, all that good stuff. So if you want a real in-depth how-to on how to use this thing, I would definitely suggest watching this DVD. And when you order one of these or you purchase one, it should definitely come with it. So it comes with your instruction manual, your DVD, obviously your ring saw, which includes your face shield, this grate, which is removable, so your glass grate. Then inside, it's gonna have a little screw, and that comes with this little sponge looking thing. So basically, what that is the tool to make this removable. So if you needed to, you could dip this in water, make sure this is absolutely soaked, and you can make the Taurus Ring Saw 3 portable. So say you can cut anything with this, stone, granite, all sorts of shit. So say I needed to cut off a piece of stone or something. You can literally pick it up just like this. You put on the screw that comes with it, screw it tight after that sponge is nice and soaked, and you can bring it and make this piece portable, which is so cool. I don't know how realistic it is that somebody who's purchasing it for the point of stained glass is going to end up using it as a portable piece, but that's pretty friggin' cool. So it comes with everything you need to do that if you so choose. So your sponge, your little screw to make it portable, and then like I said, it comes with your standard bit, and that's it. That's everything you need. Obviously, your plug-in cord is already in the back. So something separate that I purchased, which I don't know if we're going to get to today. I'm going to try, but depending on how much time it's gonna take us to just kind of initially dive into it will depend. So I purchased this. Now, just like the bandsaw itself, these things are not cheap. So I believe, I can't remember, this thing is around $500. So you wanna make sure you're using it correctly, you know what you're doing, you're not gonna break it. The band replacements alone, which this is what it looks like. You see this little circle in here? So this little metal band is what actually cuts the glass. So just like our stained glass grinding bits that sit and spin on top of our standard grinders cuts the glass, this is the same thing. That's why I said it's kind of like a bandsaw or a table saw actually. But it spins like this and will push our glass up against it, and you can go in any direction you want. That's what makes this thing so fantastic. So where we can't cut out, let's say, a perfect star shape because you need that deep V cutout, on this you can. On this you can cut out anything. But like I said, I purchased this separately. This is a different type of blade. So this is a 170 grit standard separating blade. Now the beauty of this is you can put a separating blade on it. So say I wanted to I don't know, cut out a maple leaf, but I wanted the center to be hollow for some reason. Say I wanted to cut out the center and then fill it with epoxy or something, you know what I mean? You can cut out your leaf and also cut out the center, so you just have a thin outline of glass. The possibilities are endless. Yes, it's expensive, but it's a good investment. This opens the door to do anything with stained glass, just like the separating blade. So I believe the separating blade was around maybe $60, $70. Again, as always, I'll link everything down below. I'll link the bandsaw, I'll link the extra blades that I got. But this stuff isn't cheap, and what makes me so nervous about using these is that these can break. So apparently these things snap. I haven't seen it happen, so I don't know if things come flying off, but as always, we'll be wearing safety glasses, all that good stuff. But I'm sure if it happens, it's gonna be scary and it's gonna piss me off because these are so expensive. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I ordered a separating blade. We'll see if we get to it today. If not, we'll just be concentrating on our standard blade, and then I'll make another video in the future diving into the separating blade. So now that we've gone over the basics, I'm gonna fill this up with water and we can get into cutting. Okay, so I wanted to zoom you in really quick because my machine actually does have a flaw. Now, because I purchased this months ago, it was just a random day. There's actually a video of me stained glass shopping on my channel. I'll link it down below, the day that I purchased this. That was months ago, and I bought it on a whim because she didn't have any iridescent in. I still wanted to give her my business, so I bought it that day, and I wasn't even ready to use it yet. So now that it's months later, I didn't realize my ring saw doesn't have the water line. So right down here, there should be a sticker telling me exactly where I need to fill the water to. Now, normally that wouldn't stress me out, something small like that, but like I said, this machine is so expensive, and the water is what powers this. If you don't have water, you're going to destroy your machine. So I need to be so careful to make sure that I'm filling it to right where it should be, and I'm having to guess while doing it. So I just wanted to make a note that when you purchase yours, double check, make sure your water line is clearly marked. There should be a little, usually there's a little plastic sticker that shows you where your watermark should go. And for some reason, mine didn't have it. So I'm gonna have to kind of troubleshoot to figure that out. But anyway, we're getting ready to fill our machine up with water, but first you gotta get your stencil ready. And there's something I wanted to quickly mention. So I just randomly drew this little maple leaf, and luckily, because we're cutting out any shape we want and it's a maple leaf, it doesn't have to be symmetrical. So I made sure this doesn't look the same as this side and this side doesn't look the same as this side. So we'll be able to cut any which shape, whatever. I'm really excited. So point is, doesn't need to be symmetrical, but if you want to see how I make my stencil symmetrical, I'll link that video down below. It's stained glass start to finish, but it also shows in depth how I make my symmetrical stencils. So I drew up this maple leaf real quick, just gonna cut it out so we can trace it out onto our glass. All right, got my stencil cut out. Now I'm gonna take these extra scrap pieces and shred them because I use that for shipping. Now let's cut out our little square of glass. So we're getting ready to grind it up here. I'm going to trace my leaf out, you'll see here in a second, but I'm also gonna try to keep it as small as possible so I can just cut the basic square out and bring it over here. All right, now the point of this machine is to just be able to cut out shapes that we can't normally cut out on a basic grinder. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna trim all the excess glass that I can get off of this with just straight or curved cuts that I can. That way I'm putting less strain and less miles on this saw, because these bits probably don't last very long. These machines are not meant to cut all of your glass, everything you make. These are just for those rare occasions where you need to cut something you can't get on your grinder. All right, so I think that's perfect. We don't have too much more we could trim off to help out our Taurus ring saw. We're just about ready. I'm just gonna sweep this up and fill the ring saw with water. Okay, and just a couple things to mention. The manufacturer says if you live in an area where you have hard water, that is going to add some extra wear and tear on your machine that you don't necessarily want. So if you have hard water, try to use distilled water in your grinder. If you can't get distilled water and you have hard water, just add a couple capfuls of vinegar. All right, so per the manufacturer, I've filled it up to just about the halfway mark of that bottom blue pulley. They said this thing takes approximately 1 gallon of water, or aim for half of the bottom blue pulley, which is right where we're at. So this thing is loud, this thing makes a mess. So you wanna make sure you don't have anything in the area, no electronics. It does splash a lot of water and shit. So we're definitely gonna wanna wear our safety glasses, put our grate back on, and we'll be ready to go. You wanna make sure that this thing is clicked directly in place. You don't want it to be hanging over the edges. You want everything to sit flush. All right, so the rest of this video is going to be a voiceover, or at least a portion when I'm actually using the ring saw because it's so loud. Okay, so like I said, guys, this has to be a voiceover, which is unfortunate because I would have been able, or I would have liked to have been able to give you guys my real-time reactions of this thing the first time really using a Taurus Ring Saw 3, and it has a brand new bit. So when I say this thing cuts through glass like butter, I mean it. You barely need to push the glass. You don't need to push the glass against the grinder at all. All you're doing is gliding it. So I am just guiding my piece of glass up against that band saw. I don't know what else to call it. I guess it's a bit, but I feel weird calling it a bit. So all you do is slide it up against that saw, that band, and it slices through the glass like nothing. And you don't need to turn your glass. You don't have to try to turn it upside down or anything crazy like you would on a normal glass grinder. You just guide it, move it left, right, up, down, and because the entire band itself is the grinder, it doesn't matter. So right here where I am, I could pull it straight towards myself and it would just cut straight back. So it's totally different than a glass grinder. It is fantastic. I was immediately blown away when I started using it. So I think the only major thing to know about using one of these for the first time is just to anticipate the blade itself taking a chunk of the glass out. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this later on in the video, but because the width of the band, the entire width of the band and blade is cutting the glass, it's not like you're just using a glass cutter and breaking two pieces apart. It is physically taking a chunk of glass out and grinding it away into nothing. So if you needed to put that piece back together, it would never fit because it's missing the exact width of the blade itself. So you would never be able to put it back together again. So you need to be conscious of that when you're cutting and working around your stencil, that it's taking a chunk of glass with it. You're not just cutting a hair thin slice through the glass, you are grinding away that blade width size of glass. Wow, 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 wow. And just like that, guys, what did that take? 5 minutes? Look at that leaf! Oh my God, I'm so sorry for screaming. Holy moly, I am so excited right now. Look at that, guys, that is beautiful. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. Oh my God, I can't believe I waited this long to use it. This is absolutely insane. I cannot believe I just cut this out with glass. And again, you guys, this can cut out anything. This can cut tile, granite, glass, stone. This can cut a lot of materials. Granted, I don't know how fast that's gonna burn your bit out, but I don't care. This is so much fun. Look at that. That is just fantastic. You could never in a million years attempt to cut this out on a regular glass grinder. It just wouldn't work. You couldn't do it. And there's no way you could make all these deep cuts. This is insane. Wow, wow, wow. I'm kind of wanting to cut one more. Should I cut one more, you guys? Should I cut an orange one too? I mean, I filled it up already. I might as well. I'm gonna cut an orange one too. Let me prep it. I'll be right back. Just wow, 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 wow. Half of me doesn't even want to solder these. Don't those look just beautiful as they are? Just plain, nothing to them, just sitting on a table like this or something. Wow. That is so much fun. I'm so excited. Okay, I could keep saying that over and over and over again, but for the sake of this video, I won't do that to you guys. So, the point of this grate is to keep large chunks or even small chunks of glass from falling into the water and coming in contact with your band. You don't want that to happen. So, you saw every time I cut off one of these little pieces, even these tiny little shards, I picked it up and pulled it out of the way. You want to make sure that all of that is clean and away from your blade as you're cutting. So, now that I've got our 2 leaves cut out, we're gonna wrap them in foil, and I'll show you the foil overlay so we can solder them, finish them up. But every single time you finish working with your bandsaw, you need to empty it. You can never, ever, ever let this sit in water. So just like I found with my normal stained glass grinder, I feel like it loses its grit a lot quicker if you leave that wet sponge in contact with the bit, or if you leave water in your grinder. You don't want to do it. It gets nasty and yucky anyway. So make sure you clean everything up, empty out your water basin, make sure everything is nice and dry before you put it away. So I'm gonna do that now, and then I'll meet up with you guys when we're ready to start wrapping our leaves. All right guys, I got my 2 clean leaves here, and I just figured I would mention again, obviously when you're done grinding on any kind of grinder, your regular grinder or Taurus, never bring these right to your sink and wash that glass mud down your drain. You will destroy your pipes. You need to have an extra water bucket to the side, like I said, with any type of grinder, so you can put these directly in a fresh water bucket, then you can rinse them. So you want to get almost all of that extra bulk crap off, and then you take it to the sink just to get rid of any lasting stuff you might not even see. So we've got our clean pieces here. I'm just gonna zip through me foiling them, since I have dedicated videos to that on my channel already. I will link them down below, and then I will get back with you guys once I'm done foiling so we can talk about an overlay. Okay guys, we are fully wrapped around our edges. We would normally be ready to solder, but like I said, we are going to be doing something called an overlay. Or at least that's what I call it. But what we're gonna do is take a piece of foil, just like you saw me do as I was patching up any split edges that I had. Take a piece of foil and you cut it directly down the middle. That way you have 2 very even strips of foil. Now you can do a few pieces just to have some extra. I always keep some extra around, that's why I've got 3. So since we're doing an overlay, which basically means we're going to be laying foil right on top of the glass, we're gonna see it through the backside. So you could do normal copper backed or black. I'm gonna do black backed foil because I am going to patina these black. And once we hold it up to a window or there's any light behind it, you'll be able to see the black stem or black veins through it. So I'm gonna use a black backed. All we're gonna do is make these fake veins. So I'm gonna pull very slowly, and I'm pulling straight out. If you pull straight out, then your foil isn't gonna curl up on you. So pull your foil backing straight back, hold your foil up and out so it doesn't curl. So I'm gonna take my piece. I'll do the orange one first. And like I said, all we're doing is creating what would be naturally occurring leaf veins. So you don't want them to be perfectly straight. They don't have to be perfectly even. You can just place them anywhere you think a natural maple leaf would have. And just like the edges, you're gonna go back in and burnish it. Make sure it's nice and smooth. And we're gonna do the same thing for all the other veins. I wanna connect to this bottom one. So I'm gonna do the same thing from this side, just to connect that initial vein. Because normally it would start right at the stem, but I don't wanna have to fill in my entire stem. So I'm just making a little connecting piece. Then I'm gonna do the same thing for this one, this one, this one, and this one. So we've got veins going to every single point, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm going in and kind of patching where our veins meet our middle vein. That way it looks like the foil is kind of curved down into it versus just a straight, harsh edge out. So I want to try to curve these in a little bit more, make it look a little bit more natural. So I'm going in with foil and kind of creating that natural curve. No. All right, so I think I like where that's at. We're not gonna know until it's finished, but we'll see together. I might end up hating it. But again, I'm gonna leave this one plain because I love how that looks plain just like that. I might even put them on stands or make them as coasters. They would be wicked cute coasters for the living room. All right, so I'm gonna set up my soldering mat. I'll be right back. All right, guys, we are just about ready to go. I've got my lead rod here, or my lead-based solder rod ready to go. We've got our pieces of glass. My iron is heated up. I've got damp sponge, flux in my little jar. We're ready to go. So when we're working with a foil overlay, we need to be quick and careful. So because there's no splits in between or underneath this foil like there normally is with actual stained glass or an actual sun catcher, this is going to heat up very quickly. So we need to run over those areas as quick as we can, and we need to try to not let this piece of glass heat up to the point where it's going to crack. So I'm going to quickly run over a spot and I'm going to let it sit for a second. I might even hit it with the sponge to try to cool it down a little bit. You don't want to cool it down too quick because that could also risk cracking it. So you just got to be careful. I'm going to hit all my edges with flux, just a little bit of flux. So I've got my soldering iron right where it needs to be, just where it's going to heat up my lead-based solder. That way it's not too hot. We don't want it any hotter than it needs to be since we're risking cracking our piece of glass as it is. So just putting some fresh solder on my tip, and I'm just going to quickly run over those areas. All right, so I'm gonna go in with my sponge, just gently tap that area. I don't want that center glass to heat up. You probably don't have to do that. I'm just anal about everything. So I'm gonna re-hit those areas with flux. You don't wanna let it get too hot. Now we're doing the big one. Super quick hitting that. Do not let your soldering iron stay anywhere too long. All right, now I'm gonna go to the outside edges. I don't wanna go back to that middle section until I give it a second to cool off. And we did it. All right. As of right now, no cracks. Putting that guy to the side. And we'll start our red one. Here are our two almost finished maple leaves. They look so cute. I definitely want them to be tabletop pieces or something. Do we put chains on them to hang them from the window, or do we make them coasters? Ugh, maybe I should put chains on them. All right, let's whip a couple chains on real quick. All right, so now I'm going to bring these guys to the sink, give them a nice soapy, fresh bath. Then we'll be back to patina them and hang them in the window, see what we're looking at. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. I'm so excited. I think overall the Taurus Ring Saw 3 is wicked easy to use. It cuts through glass like butter. And like I said before, it opens up so many doors that just otherwise would not be opened. It is impossible to make these deep, sharp cuts. Never mind how easy it is with just a glass cutter or a glass grinder. So it's absolutely worth it. It's definitely going to be a little bit of a learning curve, figuring out or adjusting to that actual physical chunk that the glass grinder is taking out as it's cutting, but that's a small learning curve and you'll get used to that very fast. I know now that I've actually used it for the first time, I'm gonna wanna use it nonstop, which you're not supposed to do, but I've already got a backup bit. We're definitely going to get into that in another video. I just knew this one was already getting long enough as it was with the overlay and everything else. So we'll definitely do separating blade in another video. So overall, Taurus Ring Saw 3, definitely worth it. Wicked user friendly. All of the instructions and the instructional DVD, make sure that you're prepped and ready to use it before you even touch it or open the machine. So again, I had so much fun. I'm so happy with how these turned out. They're so cute. Look at that. And just that shape. You would never get that shape anywhere else. This is the only way. And it was so easy. I had so much fun. So I hope you guys had so much fun too, exploring the Taurus Ring Saw 3 with me. I'm so glad I saved it for you guys. My next stained glass video, like I mentioned earlier, is gonna be going back to basics. So because those videos are older on my channel of like the basics, cutting stained glass, foiling, grinding, all that stuff, I wanna redo them now that I've kind of been doing YouTube for a little while and just make them a little bit better. So next stained glass video will be cutting. I think I'm gonna do that first. How I personally cut stained glass using no nippers and not using the back side of a cutter to bang out big curves, if you know what I mean. So next stained glass video will be that. My next decor or DIY video is going to be going through all of my Halloween decorations. Like I said, it is, I know it's an overwhelming, or people might think it's an unnecessary amount of Halloween decorations, but it's my favorite time of year and I work hard for my money, you know what I mean? And I enjoy buying Halloween decor year round. That's how that happened. But you guys will see all that in another video. Of course, as always, I'm going to link everything I used or mentioned in today's video down below. If you want to check out my stained glass work and my stained glass business, that will be linked down below too. And if not, I'll see you, oh, dog toy, next time. Bye.